What's up, everybody? I hope you're doing well. I get a number of questions from fellow therapists asking about how to set up and create a successful online course. And when this question came up yet again in last week's Q&A video, I thought, let me make a whole video all about how to have an online course as a therapist. And spoiler alert, I have a feeling this video might look a little different than you were kind of expecting when you clicked on it. But first, let's talk about why someone might be interested in creating an online course. I'm obviously biased. If you didn't know, I sell online courses as part of PrivatePracticeSkills. It's been about 2.5 years since I launched my first course for PrivatePracticeSkills, and in that time, I've generated $65,000 or so of revenue just from course sales. And keep in mind, I've done 0 live launches, and I very intentionally priced my courses much lower than what folks recommend for the kind of content I'm creating. My point in saying that is if one wanted to, one could generate a lot more revenue from course sales than I am. It still does not get lost on me when I wake up in the morning, open my email, and see that I've made a course sale literally in my sleep. It's wild. I'm pretty sure a lot of people would be interested in that as well, and perhaps that might be the picture you have in mind if you're imagining creating an online course as well. But I have seen so many people dive into this head first, create an entire online course, and then feel completely disappointed because they've made few sales or sometimes no sales at all. And it may be a fabulous course that people are needing, which makes it feel even worse. Or I see other folks still who don't even get to that point because from day one, people are asking, what platform should I use to sell my courses? And what format should my course lectures be in? And should I include a workbook? And should I this when I build my course and that and the other thing? And get so caught up in the tech and admin of it that the course never comes into fruition. So that's also disappointing. But let me tell you, those questions have no importance on day one when you're first getting ready to sell an online course. Now, I want to give a little note that for some folks, you might want to make an online course knowing full well going into it that, you might just make a sale here or there, once every 6 months, once a quarter, and you're good with that. And if that's what you're after, by all means, go for it. Go create your course and just make an occasional sale. However, I think for most folks who are saying, I want to create an online course, there's some hope at least that can generate a more consistent, reliable source of revenue. So if you are in that boat, then here's what I propose. See your online course as the final cherry on top of an entire business. For most people, without a pre-existing business and sizable audience, if you go through all the effort of making a course and put it out there for the world to purchase, you're either going to make no sales or just very rarely make a sale here or there. So I want you to take the mentality of creating a course and then selling it to people and flip it backwards. Instead, try to find the people that you're hoping to sell to, get to know them, build trust with them, and then create a course that fits those people like a glove. I made some mistakes along the way when it comes to this, so I'll use my own story as an example. Back in 2018, before I'd ever made a YouTube video for this channel and explored building an audience, I had every intent of building this fabulous, amazing course that would take people through every single step needed to start your private practice and have success. From my perspective, I had planned to put most of my energy into creating this amazing course, and by the way, I'd put a little bit of time into posting a weekly YouTube video so that, hopefully some people would know who I was, I could sell that course to them. I was so all in on making this fabulous one-stop shop for everything you need to know to go from 0 to 100 on building a successful private practice that I did create most of this course, actually. There was just something in my gut, though, that knew it wasn't quite right. And now in retrospect, I see why. As I was growing my audience on YouTube, no one was really asking for this kind of course. It's what I thought I would have needed if I was starting out, but I did create a free summary checklist of everything you need to do to start your private practice. It doesn't go into the details of how to do each bullet point in the checklist, but hey, you gotta do this, and then do this, and do this, and people found that very helpful. My course was just supposed to expand on each of these steps with all the details you need so that you don't get stuck on any of them. As it turns out, my audience was giving me feedback that checklist was super helpful, but there was one step that people time and again kept getting stuck on, and that was marketing your practice and marketing your practice to your ideal clients. So even though I wasn't trying to ask my audience for what they needed from me, I already thought I knew. I was building this course for them that I was pretty sure they needed. They were over here telling me, hey Marie, I really need help with this one thing. Can you help me? So they actually told me exactly what kind of course they needed from me. I'm saying it's you, but it was a while ago. You might not have known me in 2019, so they. So in time, I eventually came to accept that I needed to let go of the course that I'd spent hundreds and hundreds of hours building since day one of Private Practice Skills. I felt like a total failure because in my mind, you make the course, you sell it, and now I was past a year into Private Practice Skills and I had no course to show for it. It was still a year after I completely ditched my first course that I eventually realized, hey Marie, make a course on marketing your practice. It was 2 years into Private Practice Skills before I actually launched my first course, which was how to market your practice through your website. And the reason why it took me so long to figure out that this is the course to make is because marketing through SEO is so second nature to me that I just didn't realize how valuable it would be for people to hear about that from me. It's that thing that hits that sweet spot of like, this is something that I know and can teach on and my audience is getting stuck on and is really asking for help with. So let me help you do that. Here's some courses to help you with that. It makes sense, but it took me 2 years to figure that out. All right, enough story time. Back to you. If you're really hoping to generate kind of reliable, sizable, meaningful income through an online course, your first step is to grow an audience. You do not need 40 whatever thousand subscribers on YouTube. You do not have to be on YouTube at all. You don't have to be on social media at all. You don't have to podcast. There are so many ways you can go about growing an audience, and your audience does not have to be very large for you to be able to generate reasonable income selling a course to them. Even if you have 50 or 100 like dedicated folks following you on an email list, you already have enough people there to give you feedback about what they're needing to build a very effective course for them and then to sell to them once you have it ready. So find whatever creative method helps you build an audience, and whatever route you choose, if you're wanting to create an online business of any sort, I highly, highly suggest that you do have an email list, because I'm not even going to get into the details of why the email list matters in this video. Once upon a time I spoke about that, so I'll link to that video below if you want help generating an email list. But your email followers are the people who are probably going to buy from you if you ever launch a course. So if I could go back, rather than dedicating hundreds of hours to building a course that I would eventually end up throwing out, I would focus instead on generating free content and building an audience, and then as the audience keeps coming back for more of that free helpful content, get to know what their needs are, ask them where they're getting stuck even with my free content, and see how I can potentially help them address those problems. And once there's enough of that information, go ahead and build that course. Well, as I mentioned at the top, I think this video might not necessarily have gone the way you thought it might when you clicked on it. I didn't tell you what platform to build your course on and how to make the course, etc., and that's only because that step is probably way down the road still. But I hope it was helpful to you, and if somehow you do already have that audience and you were saying, no Marie, I actually am ready now to build that course, I know what course to build, I just don't know the admin tech part of it, can you help me? Let me know in the comments below, and I'm happy to keep the conversation going and share about that as well. But I don't want you to get stuck on that if you haven't yet done the audience building thing just yet. And before we close, I'd like to thank TherapyNotes.com for sponsoring this video. TherapyNotes helps with scheduling, notes, billing, they have a HIPAA-secure telehealth platform, and so much more. So if you'd like to check out TherapyNotes, you can get 2 months to try it for free with no commitment just by clicking the link in the description of this video. Well, whether you're hoping to sell an online course someday or have an online business of any sort for that matter, I hope you found this video helpful, and until next time, from one therapist to another, I wish you well.